I'm your cult boyfriend. We're looking at the best movie villains of all time according to Empire, and I hope we have some fun with this video. We put out a call for you to vote on your best movie villains of all time, and you went at it like Hannibal Lecter tackling a cadaver. Oh, so maybe not necessarily the best villains of all time according to Empire, but according to Empire readers? So this is like popular vote? So that changes it. That changes things, I think, dramatically to the point where I'm almost positive that Darth Vader is going to be number one because he's everyone's favorite villain, but everyone is fucking wrong. I'm not a Star Wars guy. If you like him, fucking whatever, have fun. He's going to be number one. Hannibal Lecter will be number two, and then number three will be fucking who else is like the Joker. Like it's going to be an extremely typical list. You're not going to get any kind of curveballs, no surprise mentions. I mean, maybe we'll have one. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that I love movie villains. They are often my favorite characters, not because I'm edgy, just because I love what villains provide to the drama. The villain of an action film provides the action. The villain of a horror film provides the horror. The villain of a teen drama provides the drama. I like villains a lot, all right? Villains are the best. They bring the narrative. They I think simultaneously provide the hero with an arc, and then also they try to prohibit the hero from achieving that arc. I think that villains are ridiculously fascinating characters. My top three movie villains of all time are Nancy Downs from The Craft, Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Catherine from Cruel Intentions. I love the girly baddies, man. I'm all about them female fucking villains, dude. I love them so much. They're the best. They're the best at it. But I like a lot of other ones, but we might see on the list. We might see a Tommy. Tommy from Goodfellas might be on this list. I love the Gruber brothers, both of them, Simon and Hans. I I like Simon more than Hans. I'm a Simon Gruber fan. I think that he's cooler. I also like Steph from Pretty in Pink. I like Carrie from Carrie. I like David from The Lost Boys. I like Ghostface as an entire concept. I like a lot of villains. Commodus from Gladiator, Roy Batty from Blade Runner, Alex DeLarge from A Clockwork Orange. I love a lot of villains. Villains are really cool, okay? They're great. So let's see what the top 20 are. Starting at number 20, Michael Myers. Michael Myers is really cool because he represents a void. Like this is a villain, a character without a psychology. And the most brilliant thing that John Carpenter does throughout the first Halloween is when he puts us in the POV of Michael himself. Then the viewer has to naturally try to fill in the gaps of Michael's psychology, but the trick, the horror of it, is that it's all gaps. He has no psychology, and we can't even start to fathom something without a psychology. It's completely black. It's nothing. It would give Nietzsche nightmares, right? Michael Myers is an excellent villain. I love him to death. He's unstoppable. I love Halloween 4, Halloween H2O, and the first Halloween film the best. T-1000, excellent villain. Excellent. I love him. He's fucking great. I love that he's a cop. And I love that the first time that little John Connor, little Edward Furlong meets him with his friend lies to the cop instinctively. I love that he's a cop. It makes him scarier. Like watching the movie for the first time when I was a kid, I felt uneasy because he was a cop. Actually, I don't know what came first. James Cameron might be the most radical filmmaker of all time because I don't know what came first. My anxiety around cops and my general like distrust of them or my exposure to the T-1000. James Cameron may have made entire generations hate the police, okay? James Cameron may actually be the most radical filmmaker on the planet because I don't know which came first. But police are always scary. I think that like even Alfred Hitchcock, his biggest fear was the police, like legitimate fear. There must be a name for fear of police, by the way. Apiophobia. Fear of police, also known as capiophobia, is a common feeling, especially in a climate of heightened awareness of police interactions. Dude, hell yeah. Oh, I totally think that Terminator 2 is capitalizing on that. Or capiophobia is a natural, resilient part of the human condition, or the American character. Who knows, man? It's a great villain, though. Freddy Krueger, excellent. I like him a lot, obviously, in the first three films the most, where he's actually portrayed as at least slightly scary. In the first movie, he is a pretty terrifying, menacing character. A child predator, serial killer as well, a tormentor, a torturer, straight up satanic kind of archetype and force. He's great. He's excellent. The best thing about A Nightmare on Elm Street is, well, I mean, apart from Wes Craven's dazzling direction, I think that A Nightmare on Elm Street is his best directed film. Scream is his best movie, but A Nightmare on Elm Street is his most impressively composed one. He was truly on some different other kind of level type shit when he was making that, bro. A Nightmare on Elm Street is really cool. What I find most interesting about it is how it psychoanalyzes each archetype of the slasher genre when the Freddy movie is done correctly, because when we enter into their dreams, we get to kind of psychoanalyze that kind of standard archetype and flesh it out. So like even the most unimportant character within a Nightmare on Elm Street film will have some sort of substance or surprising richness or deepness to their character, because we get to psychoanalyze each of them through the dreams that they have, and then they're punished for the psychoanalysis by Freddy Krueger, who is like this ultimate satanic force. Agent Smith, I always thought he was fucking overrated, man. Nothing against Hugo Weaving. I think he does wonderfully. I'm not thrilled by Agent Smith. Like, this guy doesn't excite me, doesn't stimulate me. It doesn't intimidate me either. I think he's a fucking goofy little fuckhead. I think he's a dweeb, man. I'm not really in. I'm also not a huge fan of the Matrix. Huge fan of Trinity in general. Or if I were to put a villain from the Matrix on a list, it wouldn't be in the top 20, but like possibly in the top 120. It would be Joe Pantoliano's character from the first film. The one who's talking, who one who's like eating steak and like betrays everyone. I liked him. Norman Bates, no complaints from me. I think Anthony Perkins did a wonderful job here. This is truly captivating. He's a great villain. Even if Psycho is completely overrated, he's a great villain. Palpatine, get off that Star Wars dick for a second, because you know that Darth Vader is number one. There's no mystery here. We need two fucking Star Wars villains on this list. I don't care about Star Wars. I don't care. This shit is dull and dumb. Sheriff of Nottingham? This was voted on? This is like, what? How is the Kevin Costner Robin Hood in any way popular with literally anybody? I mean, I have a good feeling we'll see Hans Gruber if they're going to include any old Alan Rickman villain. This movie was bad, dude. Like, why? It shouldn't be a surprise that Alan Rickman is the only actor to make it onto this greatest villains list twice. Well, I mean, that confirms that we do get Hans Gruber soon. Um, but is he's a great villain actor, but like so is Jeremy Irons, who played Simon Gruber. There are a lot of great villain actors. Gary Oldman is an excellent villain actor. Mads Mikkelsen is an excellent villain actor. Christopher Lee obviously is a great villain actor. Rose McGowan is excellent. I wouldn't mind seeing like Courtney Shane from Jawbreaker on this list either. There are a lot of great villain actors out there. Paul Johansson, John Lithgow, Helena Bonham Carter, Javier Bardem, Kiefer Sutherland. There are a lot of great villain actors out there. I'm not saying he's not top tier. He is, but he's not in a league of his own. There's a whole category of actors who fucking excel, who transcend as villains. He is one of them. Um, this movie sucks. though. Why do people like this movie? I didn't think they did. Nurse Ratched at 13? No way. She's one of the best ever, bro. She's one of the best villains of all time. Just looking at this chick gives me the fucking creeps, man. Just look at that broad, man. Like she's fucking scaring me. And it's just a still image, man. I don't want to do a whole analysis of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, I think we generally all know like the metaphorical value or the symbolic virtue of the film. R.P. McMurphy represents freedom, anarchy, with all of its blemishes, right? Anarchic freedom. Whereas Nurse Ratched is totalitarianism, is fascism, is complete and total control. So the state and the subject, and the state ultimately lobotomizes the subject. You know, because you can only have one or the other. You can either have extreme freedom or extreme control. The evil shit that she does, dude. She is so petrifying because of how her evil manifests and how it expresses itself is so digestible. It's so palatable. It's easy to swallow, just like all the fucking pills they fill you with within the mental institution itself. The state is devious because the state is extremely careful and easy to underestimate. It's a completely vicious villain. Number two on my list. Like I know for a fact we're not going to see Nancy Downs or Catherine on here. My other two favorite villains, Nancy from The Craft and Catherine from Cruel Intentions. But they're really worth mentioning. They're really worth me saying within this video that they are extraordinarily sophisticated, complex, and super sexy. You got to check out The Craft and Cruel Intentions if you haven't yet. The most legendary villains, I think, exist within those films, along with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is the best thing Milos Forman ever did by a long shot. And he's a pretty good director. I wasn't saying that in some sort of smarmy, snide sort of way. He's a very capable and interesting filmmaker. And the fact that this is easily the best film he ever made should speak volumes of the quality of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest itself. Sauron. It's a fucking eyeball. It's a fucking suspended eyeball. Nerds. Fucking nerds. All of you are nerds. Fucking nerds. I'm not a Lord of the Rings guy either. I'm a fucking nerd though, but I guess I'm a nerd for other things that are not fucking Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, man. Fuck, get me some Star Trek in here. I'd be cool with Borg Queen or Khan. I'd be cool with them. They're pretty fucking dope. They're rad. They're nerdy. It's a fucking eyeball, dude. A great eye, lidless, wreathed in flame. The description of the Dark Lord of Mordor is all well and good on paper, but how the hell do you make a massive fiery peeper remotely sinister on screen? With a computer! This sucks, bro. It's an eyeball. It's, there's nothing here. There's nothing there to engage with. No! No! Why? The only two things fucking people like, normie fucking people, the only two things they like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings? There's a whole world of sophisticated villains out there. At least Gollum isn't just a floating fucking eyeball. At least he's a real character who was like performed pretty well. Like I have nothing personally against Gollum. I'm just like, wow, bro, this is a lot of Peter Jackson representation. Come on. I do not agree with the general consensus that his Lord of the Rings films are like stacked against The Godfather as like some of the greatest ever. They are fucking not. Grow the fuck up. No way. They are dumb, they are dull, they are long, they are boring, they aren't very deep, and there's not too many layers to the story or the composition. It's fucking boring. And I love Peter Jackson. I love The Frighteners. I love Dead Alive. I love King Kong, dude. Um, I like Peter Jackson a lot. It's Tolkien that I don't fucking like, or Tolkien. I don't care how to say it enough. I don't respect him that much. Hi, I'm your cult boyfriend. I believe I've just made an enemy with you, new viewer. Hi. I'm a very disagreeable YouTuber, but you should still subscribe to me. You can like this video, you can also dislike it, but you should keep watching my videos because, whoa, what's the zany fella gonna say next? What other incredibly amazing thing is he gonna say is bad? Legitimately, genuinely, this is a good character, obviously. Iconic, for sure. Like an iconic villain. Yeah. I just like He's as deep as a fucking kiddie pool, man. And there's no style to this dude. I am very okay. What's the best way to describe my taste? My taste is probably best described as being like there are a lot of shallow qualities to the things that I love most, but there's also a hidden sophistication within it if you gaze long enough into it. So, yeah. Which is not fucking Gollum. The alien. Nerd. Not even gonna call it a xenomorph. Fucking man up, pussy. Call it a xenomorph. No, who I love this. It's great design. Great design. I love that Alien plays on fear of male rape. That's probably the scariest thing about the Alien. That's why I like Aliens so much more because we place this fear of male rape into a universe that is populated by the most masculine stock characters imaginable, which are space marines. So talk about masculine punishment. I love that shit. That's really good. James Cameron's a genius. Voldemort. This is the most mainstream list I've covered yet. This is like ridiculous, dude. I think Harry Potter is better than Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. But I like Helena Bonham Carter more, right? She's so much cooler. Come on, let villains be sexy, bro. Just give me all these uggos. All these fucking uggos, dude. Give me a hot bad guy. Please. Next one better be hot. I mean, I don't think so, personally. Personally, but hey, it's a wonderful villain. This is an extremely complicated villain. I love him. I love him. He's a lot like a Grim Reaper figure, similar to Michael Myers, but the biggest separator, right? The thing that is so distinct about Anton Chigurh, especially when compared to a villain like Michael Myers, is that Michael has no psychology, where Anton is overwhelmed with psychology. You can't assume his POV because there's too much psychology within it. He seems to be almost omnipresent. He is like such a beautiful force within the film, such a sinister one as well. I love the conversation he has with Woody Harrelson and that immortal line, so far as I'm concerned. I quote it to myself often. If the rule you follow led you to this, of what use was the rule? Believes in fate and chance. He does act like some sort of mythological creature, and he's granted certain abilities by the narrative itself, by the narrative system itself. It shows him favoritism, because I think all great narratives show death favoritism. And Cormac McCarthy, if you know anything about its source material, is an extremely famous pessimist. And I think that No Country for Old Men is an excellent, excellent, excellent film. Is it my favorite film by the Coen brothers? Maybe. Miller's Crossing is also really high up there, so is Fargo. But those three, I think, without a doubt, unquestionably, like, are the very best Coen brothers films. And they are excellent. They are excellent directors, and this is an excellent villain who does belong on this list, for sure. On any list. Kylo, what? What? I didn't know you nerds liked him. I thought that all these movies were fucking making the frogs gay. I didn't know that it was cool to like these movies. Kylo Ren? I watched all of the movies. Took me a long time, but I did. And as someone who doesn't like Star Wars, I didn't give a fuck about any of like the lore breaking or like I didn't even recognize it as being blasphemous to its own franchise. So it's so fucking weird to me. I don't know. Adam Driver has never impressed me though, if I'm being perfectly honest. Everyone raves about him and I'm just like, wow, the quality of a great actor is so low that this fucking jackass is now viewed as one of the greatest that we have like today in the contemporary view. I don't like Kylo Ren. I don't like that there are gonna be like three Star Wars villains on this list. All people like is fucking Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. Can you like something else? Please? Normal people? Can you like one other fucking thing? Hans Landa. What a cool character. Isn't he such a cool Nazi, everybody? Isn't the Nazi funny? Okay, genuinely, he's such a great character. I love him to death. And yeah, he is funny. And yeah, Tarantino knows that shit and drives it home. I love him. He's such a great character. Uh, I should do a Tarantino project because he's popular, right? Like people might actually watch those videos. I'd love to like focus on Inglorious Bastards or Kill Bill and Jackie Brown, Reservoir Dogs. I'd love to really take the time out and like explain in detail why these films are so otherworldly in their brilliance because they are. Each of them are. Like Tarantino's a genius, but my whole thing is I don't think he knows why he's a genius. He's just a fucking genius. Imagine a philosophy or a psychology. Imagine being raised by the tube, by the television screen, by the cinema screen, and that's where you learned your moral code. That's where you learned what you were attracted to, right? That's where you learned eroticism. That's where you learned about ultraviolence and even a concept like peace. And then we get the films. It's like films made by film itself, but a real person named Quentin. Like, dude, it's so good. It's so good. And this is great, right? Like Inglorious Bastards, what I find so cool about it is its postmodern qualities. Like what ultimately kills Hitler in Inglorious Bastards is a fire, but what in fact started that fire? 16 millimeter film. So Tarantino is saying within Inglorious Bastards that through film you can burn the evils of the past to the floor and make a new one within it. Through film, you can burn the past to the ground and rewrite it through cinema itself. Cinema itself killed Hitler within that film. That's pretty cool. I mean, I know he was shot and shit, but like that's really the metaphorical or symbolic value of that sequence. It's amazing. Like it's really cool, dude. It's fucking great. And yeah, excellent villain. Just so captivating. Startlingly effective and endlessly entertaining performance from Christoph Waltz. Hannibal Lecter. Not gonna complain about it. Not gonna complain at all. I like, so far as filmic versions of Hannibal Lecter go, I like the least attractive one. You know, I like so far as film adaptations, Manhunter by Michael Mann is my favorite version of Hannibal Lecter, meaning Brian Cox is my favorite Lecter, and he's the most unattractive version of him within that. But I think he's the most believable one as well. Like this guy, Anthony Hopkins is just not just a cannibal, doesn't only eat people, he also chews all the scenery up and swallows it whole. He's a fucking goofball, a camp goofball. But Brian Cox in Manhunter feels like a psychotic professor that you could have in uni, right? I uh I also love its television, but Mads Mikkelsen I think is also a superior Hannibal to Anthony. But Anthony is also excellent. The character of Hannibal Lecter is a fascinating one and a very deep and complex one, rich, with a lot of rich qualities. I love Hannibal. Hans Gruber, fuck yeah, dude. I love Hans. He's so fucking great. Who said we were terrorists? Hans is excellent. Yeah, for some reason, I think that Simon Gruber is cooler. I like the I like his fucking Nazi coded bullshit, bro. I like his dyed blonde hair, and I like his hot little blonde henchman as well. She has awesome fight choreography. She like moves in this fluid, almost ballet like motion and like kills people. But I think Simon's a lot better. Like lines like, "There's a difference between not liking one's brother and not caring when some dumb Irish flatfoot drops him out a window." On my way to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. Each wife had 7 cats. Each cat had 7 kittens. Kittens, cats, sex, wives. Like it's great, dude. It's great. I like Simon so much. I I love him. I have a video on Die Hard with a Vengeance. I don't remember what I say in that video because it's years old, but I'm sure I analyze Simon within it and tell you why I think he's so cool. Similar reasons can be said for Hans. Hans is so excellent. And John McTiernan is a master genre filmmaker. Very, very good one. Low key. Low key. I forgot there is a third thing people like. They like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and Marvel. I forgot. Marvel, you gotta step up your game. You were only featured on here once. You guys feeling okay? You guys feeling okay in the MCU? What? Fuck this. Fuck this. Most people have terrible taste, all right? I wish that Empire just didn't allow people to vote. I wish they just came up with this list themselves, or else you get Loki at number 3. So what? Joker at number 2, Darth Vader at number 1. And if that's the case, if this list is that predictable, it means that the general public is that predictable. If it really is Joker and then Vader, I am ending the video immediately. Guaranteed. In fact, viewer, look down at the bottom of the screen and see how much longer this video has. You can already spoil yourself, all right? If it's Joker at number 2 and Darth Vader at number 1, I'm ending it because people don't have interesting taste anymore. Not looking good. Not looking good. For the record, I think this is a phenomenal villain, but I'm over it. It's really not looking good right now, guys. Oh, Darth Vader, number 1. Thank you so much for watching my video. Goodbye.